Hello, Troy Shadowingtronics. A little late for the Art Soundoff challenge, and yes, that is the air conditioner going. It's about when it gets around 60 degrees outside, it gets closer to 70 up here. So, gotta have that on today. Weather's a bit weird this week, and this is a bit late because yesterday was just very busy, and doing this was not really my priority. And of course, I don't do Art Soundoff on the weekends. Hopefully I won't be doing major coughing, but if not, I've got my lozenges ready to go. Anyway, came to a realization today, which I think could make a good Art Soundoff. Do you realize how much of our fiction is now in the past is now our lives? And I've joked about this before. I think we've all joked about this plenty of times. But the 21st century, we're only just getting started, and already it's like everything's finally starting to catch up with our old sci-fi. And you can go all the way back. I mean, invention of submarines and Jules Verne advanced submarines. You can go that far back, but let's just stick to the stuff that sorry, stuff that like I grew up with. Maybe a lot of you grew up with. We don't have flying cars, but we do have self-driving cars and cars with built-in computers, built-in GPS. In fact, we carry on our hips or in our pockets or in our purses, whichever you have, a computer that's more powerful than most of the computers in the science fiction we grew up with. This sucker does a lot of things that the past science fiction hadn't even thought of. And Star Trek still does not have video on their communicators. And that's freaking Star Trek. That's basically where the idea of the cordless phone that became the precursor to the cell phone first began. In fact, some people like flip phones because it reminds them of the communicators from the old Star Trek series. I'm one of those people. To be honest with you, having a smartphone is kind of just circumstance for me mostly. But so you've a lot of our old fiction has become that, and not all of it has been for the best. I mean, we've had 9/11, only we didn't have Jack Bauer or G.I. Joe to stop those terrorists. We've got terrorists operating in. We've had Al Qaeda, we've had ISIS. So I mean, not all of it's good. Heck, 2020. I think we've all joked that every dystopian storyline that they've ever tried to come up with has basically been trying to force itself into 2020, right down to the high council of faces on screen. I mean, go watch pro wrestling or any talent show, and you'll see this big wall of all these different faces all over it. Everybody sitting at home. It's the high council of faces on screen because they're judging whether a lot of these shows are judging if Jonathan stays or not. So that's come to pass. We've got that kind of technology. We've got that kind of storylines going on. Who's to say someday we won't have superheroes? They may not be like Superman. They may be closer to Iron Man or even Batman. But even then, you've got the real-life superhero community, which is basically a bunch of... the majority of them are basically just civil activists who go around helping other people, and they're not really out there fighting supervillains or whatever. But we certainly had the technology that supervillains craved back in the 50s. We certainly have a lot of the discord and disruption villains started. We have robots that clean our floors. We have robots that we play with. Gotta get new batteries for that guy. We have all of these different things that used to be works of fiction. So when you're creating fiction, you may be creating the future. And may not only be the best future because the villains are following the same rule book, but uh, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. I'm just sat down. I'm not really in the proper thinking mode, but this is already late. But I mean, you see what I'm saying, right? Yesterday's fiction has become today's fact, and today's fiction may become tomorrow's fact. And you know, I don't know how. I don't have anything profound to say about that. I don't have anything about how we writers are creating the future or predicting the future or any of that other stuff. It's really more just of an observation than any kind of grand revelation or something amazing. It's just kind of something I thought would be interesting. Good way to kind of close out this week. As I said, I won't be doing Art Sound Off on the weekend. I'll be back on Monday. Probably something a bit more useful than a mere observation. But, there's not really any major set rule with Art Sound Off other than being about your creative day, your creative thoughts. So I hope you at least found this interesting. If you want to find out what more important Art Sound Off postings are being made by the rest of our small contingent this year, you can check out Twitter and go to the hashtag Art Sound Off. I remind you to bring up the latest list because you'll see who's coming in, not who got the most votes. So you'll see the latest post by myself, Jersey, Rob, Owen, and anybody else who decides to join us. And if you'd like to join us, check out leantoart.com/artsoundoff. And if you want to check out my articles and comics, and hopefully I'd like to get an actual video up before the end of the year, or the end of the month. No, let's just shoot at the end of the year at this point. But if you want to check out any of my more coherent ramblings or the stuff I actually work on, check out bwspotlight.com. So I'll see you Monday for my next Art Sound Off. The others may still be posting Art Sound Offs on the weekend, so check them out. And until then, as always, I wish you all happy creating. I'm still doing the learning and practicing with these recording things, so that'll be a thing this year. Still be a thing this year too.